Let's go ahead and move on to the former president, which is kind of hilarious, which is Trump continues to show us that he has a completely rudderless worldview, which is just absolutely, in some ways it can be good. In this ways, it's bad. So he appeared on Fox Business Network with Stuart Varney for a long interview, and he was pressed on what exactly he was gonna do differently if he was the president in Ukraine. And the results may not surprise you, but they will shock you. Let's take a listen.
But let me press you again on what extra military help you would give to the Ukrainians. You say you want to do more than just the MiG jets or the Javelins. Yeah. What more?
Well, I think the drones are just as effective as anything nowadays. I mean, they make drones today. We have drones that are just as effective as just about anything in the air, anything you can do in the air. And you can do drones, plus they give back tremendous amounts of information. And the information leads missiles right to whatever the hell target they are. And you don't have to shoot them from Ukraine. So therefore, you're being neutral. It's so ridiculous. Look, Stuart, when he goes in and he kills thousands of people, are we going to just sit by and watch? This country will be, in 100 years from now, they'll be talking about what a travesty, what a horrible thing this is.
Okay, so if I understand what he's saying there, he's saying, well, A, he's using a very conventional war talking point. Are we just going to sit by and watch? It's actually more complicated than that, Mr. President. A man who used to have his finger on the nuclear button. But second, did he say, and I want to make sure I heard this correctly, that we could use drones not fired from Ukraine? So essentially what he's saying is that U.S. drones, possibly flying in NATO airspace, would then launch weapons against the Russian military, which would, of course, be an act of war. This is on par with the idiocy that we saw from him and Sean Hannity, that we should simply use our planes but paint Chinese flags on them in order to confuse the Russians and say, oh, and then invite them to go ahead and bomb China, because apparently that's how dumb that these people think that we are. Look, you know, on the one hand, you could look at it as funny. On the other, the guy was literally president, and he's very likely to be our next president. So on that side, I'm a little bit troubled about what he has to say here.
It's very troubling. Yeah. And, you know, there are two people that I'm really grateful aren't president right now, and that is Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Because both of them have had some really terrible ideas about what we should be doing right now. And, I mean, Stuart Varney, credit to him, because this is the thing with Trump, he asked the question, Trump doesn't answer, oh, we should do more, and then pivots to some other whatever thing he wants to talk about. And then he had to go back to this like 3 or 4 times to finally elicit some kind of direct response. And by the way, if your idea is like, well, we should be providing drones, they're already providing drones. Mm-hmm. So it's not clear that he understands what's already been done. It's not clear that he has good ideas about if we were going to escalate further. And I do think that this rhetoric of like, are we just going to sit by and do nothing? That was exactly what Richard Engel said at NBC that he was rightly dragged for, because, you know, the alternative then of sitting by and doing nothing, it's a very casual way of phrasing this, because the alternative of escalating further obviously leads you to direct confrontation with a nuclear power and potentially World War III. So Trump is just seizing on this, you know, this sort of Republican partisan sense of Biden should do more and he's not strong enough and he's not being a leader. But when he's pressed it all about the details, he basically has nothing to say. And that's, you know, a very revealing moment.
No, absolutely. This is why, let's go ahead and piss off all the MAGA people. I have no confidence that Trump would have ever withdrawn from Afghanistan. Everybody says, oh, he was going to do it better and more strongly. Yeah, I watched him 4 years in office, and every single time he got bamboozled by the generals who told him, oh, just a little bit longer, or, oh, well, if you withdraw, it'll be a total disaster. And he was cowed. And here, it's the same thing. He shows that at the end of the day, all Trump cares about is the pressure from the media. And whenever pressure against the media is on the wrong side of public opinion, he says, screw you. But whenever it's on the right side, or possibly in a very gray area side of public opinion, he's very much willing to insert himself and side with them. And so that's what we find here. He has no more in terms of principles whenever it comes to international politics. sometimes that was good. It was great whenever it came to Kim Jong-un. He was like, why can't I meet with him? Or whenever he wanted to meet the Ayatollah, he's like, yeah, I'll meet him. He's like, sure, I'll meet him anytime. Great. Those are good things. They broke the Washington consensus. But here, when the Washington consensus is with the media side and he has no understanding of what exactly that would mean, he could get us into a war if he becomes president again. So it's a good reminder of he's telling us very clearly what exactly he would do. That means he would empower the Vindmans of his administration, whether he likes it or not, and as much as he claims to be against neocons.
I mean, the man hired John Bolton.
Oh,
like,
man.
what more do you really need to know, right?
Because he was strong.
Yeah, exactly. He liked that, he had him by his side, and it made people think that he was crazy or something like that. I mean, the other thing that he threatened here is to use nuclear submarines to menace Russia to convince them to, which again, like, that's a significant escalation that has potential consequences, and all of that seems to be completely lost on him. It also does sort of debunk the liberal Russiagate brainworms idea, though, that he was so like Putin's boyfriend. Bill Maher just said that he's like his best friend, he's Putin's puppet and all this stuff. I mean, his actual policy under his administration towards Russia was more hawkish than Biden administration's policy up to this moment.
Missiles to Ukraine, remember? Obama refused to do it. He did it.
He did it.
First year of his administration.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
He did that. Some of those arms, reportedly did go to the Azov Battalion. You could certainly criticize him for that. I certainly would. But instead, they went in this like really stupid direction of the Russiagate stuff, which was just nonsense. He also didn't allow the Nord Stream 2 pipeline to go forward, and that was reversed under the Biden administration. So anyway, there's a lot going on with those comments.
Lots going on.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.